Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the 8th and penultimate Dev Diary in Payday 3's Dev Diary series. I am here watching it live this time as a premiere, because we didn't get early access this time. It doesn't really matter. I presume Starbreeze were just very busy with sorting other stuff out of Payday 3, and in a way it's nice to watch this one live with everyone else, because I've been talking in the chat with people. This is all about narrative and sounds. I don't have any particular expectations other than Gustavo talking about music, and I know he's in the thumbnail, so that suits me fine. In terms of narrative, I'm just excited to hear what they've got to reveal. Hopefully they share some interesting tidbits, because we are a few days from launch. It'd be cool to get some more story context. But either way, 3 seconds, let's watch, react, and offer my thoughts afterwards, as always.
There are some ties to old villains, for sure, yeah.
They did say there was some audio issue this episode they couldn't fix as well. They let us know. So if you hear any glitching, that's
passed
the diary.
Since the events of Payday 2, where the gang robbed the White House. And after that, the gang went into retirement, living off the enormous amounts of money that they've made over their heisting careers. But in Payday 3, some of the people that they've wronged in the past figure out that the gang is very much alive still, and that they stole pardons. So in this universe, that sort of heist works, and therefore the cops aren't doing anything, and some of these people learn about this, and they're not happy about that at all. So they conspire to have the Payday gang killed, hire assassins, and as a precaution they also make sure to freeze all their assets, just in case the assassination attempts fail. The reasoning being that in that case, at least the heisters won't have any resources, they won't have any money to be able to retaliate on these assassination attempts.
Yeah, it's a good way to set
but
up
of
a
course,
sequel.
we do know that at least a few. We don't know if any of the actual assassination attempts actually succeed, but Dallas, Hoxton, Wolf, and Chains survive.
And Joy.
Joy. And they are contacted by an old associate of Bane, a woman called Shade, who manages to reach them just in time before the assassination attempts. And she gathers them all up in New York, promising them that she will do her best to try to get to the bottom of this conspiracy, to learn who's behind it, and get them some payback.
Ooh.
But first, they need to get back to heisting, because since they don't have any money left, they need to raise money somehow.
We're going to see Locke at all now? You're showing us Locke here, come on.
What makes the audio of Payday interesting is that we are trying to keep it grounded, but still going for the power fantasy and really get the player in charge of his or her own experience.
For the music of Payday 3, the real challenge was to honor the legacy that we have. You know, some really good and loved music that the community really enjoy for Payday 2 and Payday the Heist, and bring something new in the mix. So that was really the challenge.
Yeah, and I brought some of
my influences as well. Some from electronic music and bass music, and but also some rock and metal. And trying to mix it together with what we already had as a foundation from the other games.
Wow.
It's been a fun challenge, also very difficult. But yeah, I really like the point that the music is right now. Yeah.
We talked about 50% Payday the Heist, 20% Payday 2, and 30% Gustavo.
Yeah, we had that.
Oh, I like that mix.
Since
I like that mix.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, in Payday 3 we are going for a little bit more of a serious tone in the game.
Very good.
It's still based very much about the Hollywood heist fantasy, you being a master criminal, but it still has the base sentiment of it being a game with a good vibe.
Yeah.
It should be a good time, even though, I mean, the heisters are killing a lot of cops, but it's done in a way to make it feel lighthearted. It's more of the situational type of humor where it can be really serious, but a thing that happens makes it funny.
What do you mean I sound nervous? You sound nervous.
Yeah, the page line's still
nervous at
goofy.
all.
Stuff like
The
that
way
is
the
good
music
staying as it is.
is set up in Payday 3 right now is that we have these different states that they correspond to what's happening in the game. So we have 5 different intensities of stealth.
5?
Then that moves into a control state, then anticipation and assault. It's kind of what we had in Payday 2 as well. And yeah, the music, it changes accordingly to
5 stages in stealth.
What's going on.
That's
in the heist.
incredible.
So when there's a police assault, everything ramps up.
Mm-hmm.
And when they regroup, it slows down a bit, but you're still pumping the player, and you get into that loop. Usually I'm led by the heist that I'm working on, so I make each song for each heist. And I let the setting and the objectives of the heist lead me, and usually I try to find the tempo first. Some heists I feel they need faster tempo, others can work better in slower tempos. And I go from there trying to find hooks. Sometimes it can be like a melody, sometimes a bass line, sometimes it's just the rhythm.
We put a lot of emphasis of building the world and get an immersive experience. So if you explore our heists, you will find interesting sounds from every corner of the heist.
Yeah, attention to detail is big in this.
There's actually a lot of thought going into what we're stealing, how we go about stealing it. These heisters are meant to be the best of the best. And the approach on how they go about these heists should, in most cases, reflect what actual master criminals would do, and also about why you're stealing certain things, what's the purpose of them, how would could this be feasible in the real world or not? It should feel like, yeah, that's plausible. I can buy that.
Yeah, you want that grounded realism, even if it's not completely realistic.
You should
but it's
always play with
close
sound
up.
because you have features or you have game mechanics where audio is really aiding your experience, like hearing where the enemies are or where your teammates are, or if they shout for help, or like it adds to your experience. Because you can hear in 360 degrees, but you can only see in like 90.
Oh,
The main story of Payday 3
God, they're
is
still
where you
hiding
get
the heists.
introductory cinematics
Man.
that explains the lead up to the heist that you're about to play, given the situation with the conspirators and where the characters are at that point in time. Then you play the heist, and then afterwards you get sort of another cinematic that explains the aftermath of that heist, basically.
What?
But there's also just a few little nuggets of information strewn about in some of the heists. Things that can reveal a little bit of character backstory and what their ideas about things really are, and also some foreshadowing what's to come.
Mate, what? Cinematics
Since
for every
5 years
heist?
have passed since the events of the end of Payday 2, the heisters they have matured a bit. For instance, Joy, she was 23 at the end of Payday 2, so she is 28 now, and you can tell from the way she expresses herself. She doesn't count points as much anymore, like she used to do in Payday 2.
Yep,
so
good.
she is a little bit more mature in the way she expresses herself. And the same with Dallas. Dallas is one of the oldest heisters, and even though he still loves the world of heisting, that's his home, that's where he wants to be. You can sort of tell that there are parts of him that would have liked to stay in retirement. So he's maybe a little less wordy than he used to be.
A little more jaded.
He's a little bit more somber. While somebody like Wolf, for instance, he's been through hell during retirement. That's the worst part of his life ever. So he's just exuberantly happy that somebody has tried to kill them and steal all their money.
Back
so
in his
he
element,
gets
yeah.
to do it all again.
For voice actors, we will see Simon Kerr, Pete Gold, and Damien Poitier returning as Dallas, Hoxton, and Chains.
And Joyce, voice actress as well.
Wolf will be returning as well, but with a new voice. For Wolf, we've been trying to find a voice that fits into the ensemble that we have, but also keeping it interesting for Payday 3.
This is a long episode, but I am loving it.
It's been a lot of fun developing some of these new characters. We have a new character, a new heister called Pearl, which has an amazing backstory.
I'm really intrigued by Pearl.
And obviously the new operator Shade as well. She also has an amazing backstory. Something that I've really been very conscious about writing, for instance, dialogue for these characters is who they are. What sort of words would they use? Some of that comes from the actor portraying the character. We only get to scratch the very surface of these characters' life stories and backgrounds for this game. But going into live service with DLCs, hopefully we can figure out a way to tell a little bit more about their stories, because there's a lot to it that isn't immediately apparent to the players.
Okay. All right. If there's a good coherent story through all of it, I'll be intrigued.
Our small talk system. It's the system where it randomly picks conversations with NPCs, civilians in the world, creating a more immersive experience and like a world that feels alive. And I think that is like such a big impact and a big difference from Payday 2.
Very
and
much
also
so.
with the vehicles and the music from the cars going by. And from an audio perspective, or from the audio department, we usually are the ones that drive the systems and how stuff is going to work. For example, the small talk, while the narrative team are the ones that putting the information in.
It was a lot of fun to write some of the civilian dialogues. Things that only meant to be like in the background. I mean, this is the world that they're living in, and having a little bit of dialogue and things like that in the background really gives you a sense that this is an actual living, breathing world. It's not everybody who can come into work and write curse words in 30 different ways. So that's always fun.
I really hope that you like the game and you will play it, and as Gustavo said, make friends and just have a good old time. Keep those helmets flying.
He said the thing. Blimey, I'm guessing that's the end.
I honestly...
No comment.
That it might be recency bias talking, but that might be the best Dev Diary of all of them. I'm going to be completely real with you. I think that was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that Dev Diary was absolutely brilliant. I really, really, really liked that. I think it offered a lot more insight than I thought they were going to give. I mean, this is coming from, as I said, the Dev Diary series where episode 5 was about heists, and they didn't tell us anything about the heist specifically, more the mechanics. Like, I didn't have the highest expectations going into this. I just expected some chat about music, a bit of generic narrative commentary, and that'd be it. Instead, they're really explaining properly about Shade being a contact of Bane and her saving some members of the gang from being assassinated and trying to save as many as she can. Again, I love the whole people getting assassinated thing because it does leave it open to interpretation, who survives, who dies, and it's a really good narrative way to write out a character if they don't want to bring them back, or an actor doesn't want to come back, or whatever may happen. It's great for that. But cinematics before and after every heist kind of gives me a bit of like Overkill's The Walking Dead vibe, so there's more of a narrative with everything you do. And I think personally, for me, from a story perspective, one of the only things I think Payday 2 didn't quite get right, and different people will say different things here, was that the story felt too tail-end heavy. It felt like there wasn't really much of a proper, thorough narrative that people were invested in for a lot of the game's life cycle until like the last year or so, where things went, Let's blow your mind and let's get you excited. And it was good, don't get me wrong, but I would have loved to have seen a more interesting story that, granted, you can be invested in, or just ignore if you don't care, but have it seeded in more equal, balanced amounts throughout the game's life. And knowing that in these 8 heists, there's going to be a bit more of that story, even some heists will have little tidbits within them, it gives you just that little bit more of a chance to explore the narrative and see what's going on in Payday 3 and have it keep being followed up on, linked to, explained upon as the DLCs come out over a course of time. I think that is really, really fascinating, and I am so glad to hear that they're putting in like that kind of level of story and that the characters are different as well. They've said it on a very conceptual level, the characters have aged a bit, so they'll be a bit different, but you haven't really said much about how. But now, Joy acknowledged she's not going to be talking about points as much, she's still going to have a similar personality, but she will have aged and therefore matured. I honestly, hot take, I think Joy is actually going to end up being one of the better choices they could have done to bring a character back. I really didn't think she'd be brought back. I thought, with her being one of the less popular, at least female heisters, maybe not heisters overall, but a lot of people really did not vibe with like the kind of cringy nature of her lines, the high-pitchedness. I didn't mind her personally, but I understood the criticism. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what people think about Joy when she comes out. I think it really is going to be an interesting case of kind of twisting the narrative on her, or at least not twisting the narrative so much as twisting the perspective and making people actually, go, she's really good. I think that's going to be really interesting. And Dallas in particular, them focusing on a couple of people being like, Dallas is going to be kind of a bit more jaded. He wants to stay retired, and you'll hear it through his voice lines. Like he's still enjoying it. He's still a heister at heart, but he kind of was looking forward to the idea of, chilling on his boat, and now he can't do that. So I like that the characters will feel like they've evolved a bit, and that there is also actor input. They said that as much. I mean, Pete Gold getting to put in Sniper No Sniping as a Dora the Explorer reference was quite funny for Hoxton. So I really like the detail being put into the characters and the narrative. I think both of those are phenomenal. And as for the sound, I mean, the irony that the episode was full of audio bugs, especially from just the one interview in particular, but putting that aside, I think just hearing about the thought going into the music in particular, I mean, who doesn't love the music of Payday? It's one of the biggest draws that this franchise has. And Gustavo, I mean, different people will say who they prefer, Simon, Gustavo, whatever. Gustavo, I think, has done more than enough to cement himself as a phenomenal composer and someone who was easily the best choice to come back for Payday 3. I know people go, oh, what happened with Simon? He's off working with 10 Chambers, he's doing his own thing, so it would make sense for Starbreeze to get a more permanent resident composer. They don't have to contract out who's working in a different company. Gustavo is the right choice for that. He aced a lot of music towards the end of Payday 2. A lot of you know Deadeye was one of my personal favourites, and On the Road, it speaks for itself. It really does. But everything I've heard in Payday 3, I love that they're saying that from a composition standpoint, it's like half Payday the Heist, 20% Payday 2, and 30% Gustavo. Because it definitely screamed to me that there was a bit more of a Payday the Heist style kind of score in the background, I suppose, for the music. It felt a bit more grounded, and as they're saying in the game itself, it's going to feel more realistic. It's still got that light-hearted edge in the voice lines, and the gameplay is still going to have fun. But as an overall vibe, the game is going to feel a lot more grounded and realistic, and it's exactly what I wanted out of Payday 3. It was what I really wanted them to do, just to remove a bit of the goofiness, not too much. I just felt like in some ways Payday 2 just went too far, and it was hard to take the game even a little bit seriously. So they may obviously change this down the line. They were saying, we'll add goofier masks and suits as time goes on, so this may only be a temporary thing, but at least for the case of launch, it being so much more grounded and seeing what is going on from a narrative standpoint and music perspective, and it all being more serious, I absolutely love. And just knowing that Gustavo is, you can just see it in the way he talks about the game, how invested he is in making sure that it's just a phenomenal score throughout. And I have so much faith in that man to pull off something absolutely amazing, and I'm so excited to chat to him about it next week. I really cannot wait. So if you didn't already know, like I said, there's an interview I'm going to be doing with Gustavo next week. You can leave questions in the comments below. There's a YouTube community post. I've posted on Twitter, Instagram. You can go and ask questions wherever suits you best. I can't wait to chat to him about it. And that's why we're recording it after the game's come out, because as he said, every track he's done specifically with the heist in mind. He's seen what the heist is like and can post something with that in mind. And I don't want to be limited talking to him early by going, tell us about the couple of heists you've done. Because even in that dev diary, it was why I cried out, they're still hiding the heists. I really don't know why they're not telling us what the 8 heists are now, even just on a surface level. We know we've got the No Rest for the Wicked Bank, we know we've got Under the Surface, the Art Gallery, and we know we've got 99 boxes at the docks. We also know there's the Golden Shark Bank. They haven't said that outright, but the concept art was in that bank. One of the in-game screenshots on Steam is in the Golden Shark Bank, so we know there's another bank heist. Beyond that, there's been no official information as to what the other 4 heists are, and I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I would have loved to have known even just the name or a one line about what they are before the game launches. And, it could have given Gustavo maybe a bit more to say in that dev diary then about the differences, but heck, I'll just explore it when the interview comes out. Either way, that was probably the best dev diary that I've seen. I absolutely loved that. I thought it was so well done, really in depth, and talked about a lot of stuff that I was fascinated by. I honestly just absolutely adored it, and I'm so happy about it. And knowing more of the story now gets me excited for the game's launch. I mean, Monday is when it comes out in early access, and whether I'm given a code or whether I get the game myself, whatever happens, I will be playing it on the day that it goes out on early access. I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do about streaming it. I think what I'll probably do is a mega day-long stream of some kind when the game launches. But I don't know if I'm going to do it on YouTube or Twitch, whether I'll do a bit on both. I honestly haven't decided. If you haven't followed me on Twitch, twitch.tv/RedArcherLive, go and follow me over there. I think I might do more on Twitch because I'm intrigued on trying to push the Twitch side of things as well as YouTube, and I think Payday 3 is a good opportunity to do that. So if you want to see me playing it, get excited. I think what I'm probably going to do is do a one last Payday 2 stream on Sunday. I will post about that on YouTube, and maybe I do a video announcing it once I've got a bit more of a plan in mind, if I can execute it properly. But either way, I'm waffling. Let's leave the video there. Thank you all very much for watching. I can't believe we are now just, like 4-5 days away from the game coming out. It's insane. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you very soon with some more Payday content. Until then, look after yourselves, stay safe, and I will see you all very, very soon.